Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to follow up on some of your line of questioning there as it relates to, and I want to make sure that I understand you, Mr. George, on May 29th of 2012, almost a year before the official report came out, you were briefed, and as my understanding, you specifically knew at that particular point that there was a criteria that was being used to target the Tea Party Patriots 912 group. Is that correct?
Actually, sir, that was my final briefing on this matter. During the course of the audit.
Okay, but this is May 29, 2012. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And so on May 30th, the day after that, you actually briefed Mr. Schulman, Deputy Commissioner Steve Miller, and Beth Tucker on this new audit, and using that same criteria that it was being used against Tea Parties. Is that correct?
Sir,
That's what your notes say.
Yes, but you know, my colleagues behind me who were in attendance at the meeting.
Right. It said function heads, so I assume that they were your function heads.
And they indicated we had some indication at the time that the allegations had merit, but we did not characterize. We cannot. I'm not in a position now to characterize the level of detail that we had at that point.
I'm not asking about detail. Was there a separate criteria used for those groups? A separate criteria used for Tea Party groups that you just admitted to just a few seconds ago?
You know, again, sir, I'm not certain as to exactly.
Well, is your function heads, are you all familiar with it? We have notes that would indicate that there was a separate criteria used.
Yes, sir. I was just informed that we knew there was a criteria. We didn't know the nature of the extensiveness of it, sir.
So we know that it was separate, though.
Yes.
And you, the gentleman to your left, you did notify him of that on May 30th of 2012.
That is my recollection, sir.
Okay. Then on June the 4th, this note says that you briefed the General Counsel, Mr. Chris Meade. So you briefed him of a separate criteria in the Treasury Department on June the 4th, 2012. Because all of a sudden, you know, all of this is supposedly it's just happened, but this is well over a year ago. So you briefed the General Counsel, the Chief General Counsel of the Treasury Department, well over a year ago.
I did, but I have to acknowledge that in the briefings that we hold with the Commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service, I have my subject matter experts in the room.
So you went by yourself to the General Counsel, and so you may not have given them the complete story.
I'm certain that I did not give them the level of.
Why would you have not given them the complete story if you had just done it a few days before?
Well, because the Commissioner is the person who we directly oversee. I actually have.
So this was a courtesy call.
It is a courtesy call, sir.
So a courtesy call to the General Counsel.
Yes, it is.
All right. Let me go a little bit further because I'm troubled by some of the things that have been said. We've got Lois Lerner. Why would she have been privy to all the interviews and know exactly what the interviews were going on during this process? Why would she have known that?
I'm glad you raised that, sir, because it was raised much earlier. My understanding, and again, I was not privy to those meetings. I was not in attendance.
Okay, let me ask you another question, because my time's running out. Sure. Holly Pass, why was she in almost all the interviews that you conducted? You talked about original and proper protocol from an audit standpoint. She was in these meetings with her subordinates and other people. Why would you have somebody from the IRS in all of those meetings?
You know, well, first of all, in some instances, they
is that proper protocol?
In some instances, it may be.
Well, I know when you get audited, you keep people separate. Why would you do this and put them together?
Well, because in some instances, they have collective bargaining units.
So this was all because of collective bargaining?
Well, no, I was just told that Holly was requested to leave when we were querying the IRS staff.
Yeah, but she was in 36 of 41 interviews, Mr. George, that requested to leave. She was in 36 of 41 interviews.
I'm unaware of it. This is the first time I'm hearing.
So are you gentlemen aware of it? I mean, just talk to him. You've been going back and forth. So this is the first you're aware of it?
Well, none of the gentlemen here would have conducted those interviews directly, sir. And so.
Well, I just was past this. It was in the document that you've given us. It was in the document that you've given us. So are you just giving us stuff that you're not aware of, Mr. George?
I don't know which document you're referring to, sir.
Well, I'll be glad to give it to you.
Thank you. What is this?
I just find it highly inappropriate.
Sir, this was put together by auditors, as you can see, of some of whom are in Washington, many of whom are in Washington, but some of whom are not. These are level.
Well, that's my point. This is not isolated to 2 people in Cincinnati. This has a whole lot of people in Washington, D.C., and why would she have been part of it? Would you normally conduct an audit in that manner?
The gentleman's time has expired. You may answer, though.
Congressman, I would respectfully request the opportunity to look further into this and to report back to the committee, because this is the first time that I was made aware of this, and I really don't have information about it.
I thank the Chairman.